Spring McMenemy staff nurse in public health. Motion was made by Skoog, seconded by Hayden to approve plan specifications and estimated costs for bridge replacement project BRS County 24 129 60-24 bridge on County Road L51 crossing the Soldier River. Motion passed unanimously. A motion was made by vote, seconded by Hayden to approve the following resolution. County 5-year program resolution 2022-29A, Crawford County secondary roads. Voting aye, vote Skoog, Schultz, Rosberg, and Hayden. Motion passed unanimously. Motion was made by Rosberg, seconded by vote to approve the pledge related to the submittal of a local road safety plan. Motion passed unanimously. Discussion was made with the board about cost of subgrade stabilization and seal coat of O'Banion Road west of Nelson Park. A motion was made by Hayden, seconded by vote to approve the weed commissioner's annual report. Doug is resigning this year. Motion passed unanimously. Motion was made by vote, seconded by Hayden to approve tax abatement for parcel 0931100004 Ridge Road Tower, rescind action from the September 13, 2022 meeting. Oh, we didn't put the vote down, but I think it was a unanimous vote if I recall.
Yes,
we'll correct that and get that added. The board canvassed the votes cast. Here we've a special election held September 13, 2022. The board also canvassed votes cast in the Charter Oak Youth special election held September 13, 2022. Copies of the canvas and abstracts are available in the auditor's office. On motion, a motion was made by Hayden, seconded by Rosberg to approve a burn ban for Crawford County from noon September 30th, 2022 until November 1st, 2022. Motion passed unanimously. There was a discussion with the board from Brittany Ruba, FEH Design, on the updates of the first floor restroom drawings at the courthouse. No action was taken at this time. There was a discussion with the board for the RFP for the new public health building. No action was taken at this time. Citizen input. Rachel Burns talked about the emergency communication concerns. On motion, duly seconded, the board adjourned at 12:22 p.m. Agendas for the next meeting are posted and available at the courthouse on Friday, 4:30 p.m. preceding the next meeting.
Any additions or corrections other than the vote?
The vote.
Okay. We'll stand approved as read with that vote, the change in that vote. So.
Is everybody done with the packet?
Gene, I don't think seen it yet.
I have not. I'm on your way. Too busy organizing my stack of papers. Well, Terry's gone. Kyle, can you tell me this? This was paid out of Department 51 General Services. It says Associated Engineering Incorporated. It's for $940, and it says IA08 DT Denison Tower.
Would you say? I missed most of it.
General Services, Associated Engineering Incorporated. It's $940, and the description is IA08 DT Denison Tower. I can ask Michelle, but
yeah.
I just thought
this tower here.
Right, that's here. What I figured it would be, this tower, but I just wondered what
was it.
Paid out of EMA?
No, it's out of General Services.
General Services.
But it might have been out of the tower fund.
Tower fund.
This has its own fund, doesn't it?
Yeah, AKA Tower Fund.
This one has its own fund.
Yeah. Okay, but it would be under Department 51.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, I just thought that was unusual.
Yeah, we operate that separate because it's full, and we are still getting money out of it.
Thank you.
Yep, that would be it.
It was either that or the Martians have landed.
Yeah, amen.
Area 51.
Okay. The minutes are approved. Yippee. Move on to supervisors report. Want to start rock, paper, scissors? Jerry, you got a big smile on your face.
Well,
You go ahead and
or
roll.
do you want me to go last? Because I've got so much to tell. No,
No, you better get
actually,
started.
actually, while you all were at
conversation or thoughts. So.
you all were at the meeting in Dunlap,
Yes.
I went to the 2 webinars, and this is what I learned. First of all, I attended the election cyber table. Did any of your
Yeah, we
folks
were
listen
here.
to that?
I don't know.
Oh.
Anyway, I said, I
I was
learned
with
when
them.
in doubt to contact the Secretary of State's office. They said, keeping it in, like people maybe coming in trying to kind of mess with you and about elections.
Mhm.
They said, keep a vigilant eye, the devil's in the details. Make sure you're remembering the description of the person, what they're wearing, driving, anything that may identify the individual. Don't wait to report suspicious activity. If you see something, say something, and remember to document in detail everything you remember. Do we have security cameras that would catch any of that, like for your office? If
There's a camera in the back corner of our office.
Okay,
Cool.
But we wouldn't at each one of the polling stations, would we?
but that's one of the things they brought up. It said, and to contact other counties to let them know what you've observed, because maybe if we're refusing them some type of, if they get in rowdy with us, they may go on to someone at another
And that's
county.
typical. I know auditors do that. They communicate, especially if it's a neighboring county and
You guys
things
talked
like that.
about
And even the Secretary of State's office, if they get wind of something going on in another county, they put an email out.
Yep, they talk
on
about
election
base.
day and
One auditor mentioned base camp,
yeah.
and then they talked about the day of the election. They just talked about unstable internet. Do we have a backup plan? Do we have an evacuation plan? If you were to close a precinct, what are the plans? And then they talked about the ballot box malfunctioning of course, this is for the poor, like contact your office, use the emergency bin to cast the ballots, but you train people to do all that stuff.
Yep.
One county suggested the county chairs of each party be part of the public testing. It said, make sure the CADA device has been tested also. It may be part of your backup plan. Never guess what the correct procedure might be. Call your auditor. And remember that we are all working together. The state and the federal folks are our partners. I didn't realize that with some of the stuff that the FBI could be involved, but they talked about that a tiny bit. Only answer the questions that you're asked. Protesters always know who is available to contact. Start with your local law enforcement, and they may want to contact the Fusion Center, which I wasn't right. Have you ever heard of the Fusion Center?
I don't know if that's associated with the OCIO and if that's what they're talking about. I'm not sure.
Yeah, my notes on that were a little sketchy. And then it said, talk about releasing just the results to the media and posting paper results on your county bulletin board. And it said, how do we restore confidence in our elections? It said, use formats to get facts out, squelch rumors, get and stay on top of stuff, and have your trained poll workers spread the facts about the election. So that's what I learned on that one. That was from 8:30 to 12:30.
Thank God we have the countywide meeting so we can.
And then at 1 o'clock, I went to the opioid settlement thing, and I thought they were going to talk. They just had a lady there from the opioid response network. Her name was Sherry, and she just said that network site is a good place. Opioid response network.org is a good place for information. It's at no cost. They have support for prevention, transition, and recovery efforts. If you don't know even where to start, get a hold of them. They can help you out. Oh, they can help you learn from other people who are in the same boat. ISAC's a good resource. NACO is a good resource. They talked about, like, when we put the money for ARPA funds, we park it in a special fund. They suggested when we get the opioid funds.
Yeah, we got that.
We've
We
already
got
got
that
it.
established.
You're welcome.
It's
like
basically
$8,000
about
or something.
how to spend it correctly, and
Yeah, you got to figure out
Yeah,
that.
they can help you, or even make plans. Like do we have any plans at all? Maybe, it says
I'm sure
NACO has.
Colin's got plans for it, right?
It's got to be for opioid.
Right.
Prevention.
Prevention,
chairs and
transition.
tables.
Right.
You can't
get
you
people
can write a
to-
hell of a narrative that says you do that.
No, it's very
NACO strategy brief says 25 approved ideas for the settlement funds.
But who's gonna go after?
It said Narcan is not expensive, but people need to be trained to administrate it.
Narcan?
Narcan. And then it said, some of the funds can be used for that training, and at this opioid resource program, they offer that training. But somebody on the conversation said they think that we wouldn't need to spend our money on the Narcan itself, because they think if you go, and they were thinking it was the Iowa Department of Public Health, you could go through them and you could get it from them with the state
Ain't
funds.
that a pisser though? We'll hand out free Narcan. But if somebody's diabetic or needs an EpiPen, we're gonna charge them $1,000 for it.
Yeah.
That pisses me off.
I've heard some schools are
We got
starting to
Narcan
have
riding
that
around all our
on
fire
hand
trucks.
at the school.
Really?
In case somebody
Narcan,
needs it.
There's been over.
But if you need an
in the
EpiPen,
cities,
You're fucked.
they have
It's
it.
crazy.
The nurses.
Pick the best day for that.
They also said you may be able to get, if you don't get a lot of
I get
money,
your
you may be able to tap into the state funds. They got training will be coming soon on how to track that. And I think that's next week. So if I get a chance, I'm gonna listen to that again. And they can help you with the opioid resource network,
It is
can
kind of
help you
annoying.
do your assessments.
I mean, I'm for
And
helping with that too.
if
so.
I understood correctly, funds may be received over the next 18 years. And there may be other settlements in the future. That's
So we
what I
got, we
learned.
don't have to spend it all in a year. There's no real immediate time limit, so we might actually figure out things we need it for.
I'll know, I'm gonna know.
Currently, it's
about
like
that.
$8,000.
Is that what it
We
is?
got
I
8,000.
couldn't even remember what it
It
was.
was coming in like 4 shots though.
I think
First,
so.
the first half. And then
Well,
the
Colin
second
said
half of the
there's two
first
different
deal, and then
areas that
there's-
it's coming from, and
Right.
it's coming
And-
out
Right,
twice a year or
right.
something.
Coming from
Three
two
different, public health and
And maybe he's got an
What?
idea of
through
something.
public health or anything
No.
like that, or
No.
not through the judicial system?
through that
Through
settlement
this
Settlement.
opioid settlement.
that we joined with the state of Iowa too.
Yeah, because I don't know, I'm sure we've got some issues with it around here, but
Oh, I'm sure like Jackson Recovery, they probably handle a lot of
I mean, do we
situations.
reach out to people like that to see what might be some possible needs? Seems logical.
Now that we have our
Good.
plans for the juvenile thing, should we put that on the agenda to talk about that next week?
What's
You
that?
can.
The
Should
office
we-
or what?
The
Yeah,
remodel?
putting that on the remodel next week.
Yeah, we can.
Terry's got it for
That'd
us.
be a
Why
good
put it
idea.
off anymore? That's all I really have. I have a couple of emails just from Wendy down at WCCA, but it's just kind of some statistical annual reports. But if you want me to read them to you, I can. That's money.
Just send it to me in email. Jerry.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you. That's what I know. That's what I've been busy with.
Eric, what have you been busy with?
Just a catch up, on Western Iowa development as far as that goes. It was just to make a vote. We made a vote and it wasn't going to set right, so we had to re-vote again. All on.
The vote didn't come out the way you wanted it, so you're gonna vote again, huh?
I like the way that.
We
Well, you
changed
want to
things.
try that in
Unless-
elections. That's a good idea.
We changed how we
did
get
try that.
a club, we couldn't get a
Quorum.
forum.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we dropped down below 50%.
That's right. I remember you
in
talking
there, so we
about
get
that.
it, so we can have it done. I mean, we got 24 counties
Yeah.
from the river to the damn near to the Minnesota border. So it was a joke to get in there.
And
What's that?
do you do Zoom and you can't get them?
Yeah. Oh,
Really?
we got it.
That's
Jack,
apathy.
well, we
That's
got-
apathy then, that, yeah.
This guy's in Jack, one of our members, Jack, he calls up and he says, I'm not getting eligible. And he's glad he didn't because 3 guys got rolled out of there. But they don't, you still got quite a few down that way that some of the smaller ones are have less money down there, so.
Yep.
That's it. So we got that all taken care of and we're all smooth now. And the guy that was the chairman of ours didn't get elected again, so he's out. And then I'm out, and there's two other ones out.
So how many votes now constitutes out of 24?
20 out of 20. Now it's who's attending.
Oh, so just gotta have the majority, well, it's just in attendance, so if there's only 2 people in attendance
They get to
hypothetically,
make all the decisions.
and they can make the decisions, huh?
Yeah, but it wouldn't be voted on. It had to be
Okay.
voted on the next meeting with, we were going on damn near on a year with that.
That's why I was just, yeah, no, I know you said you guys been struggling with trying to get quorum just so you can
Yep.
take action on stuff, but I was just questioning if it's out of 24 counties, 80 showed up, you know, a third of the counties could make the decisions for the other 2/3.
It kind of, yeah, that's kind of sad that it's it sounds to me like there's some apathy going on.
I guess if that went against what your county wishes were, by more than once,
Yeah,
you'd have a
Show up.
tendency to show up at a meeting,
you
wouldn't you?
would, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Then
to
it
get
might be
it,
too
they
late.
pay mileage and stuff, cool, but I tell you,
Xi
still, I
Jinping
tried to
be
go
in
from
charge.
one end to the other end. If you have to go, we can't do anything underneath
Yeah,
halfway.
you just will get a super CEO and just make them like the almighty.
Give them a hammer.
Yep,
Yeah,
we're doing it. Probably once a week, tell you what we're doing.
sub-organizations, but other than that, that was about it.
But you guys are kind of thrust upon that by the state. with their
Well, yeah, and I
realignment.
still get a nice letter from the
All that realignment. Really.
Thompson. And I gotta still get a letter from her and her meetings that she has, and I really could care less what she does.
Okay. That it?
That's it.
All right. Ty,
I had 2 meetings other than the 4 county, which you guys were all there, so I don't, you know. Well, except for the ones that were attending other meetings.
right,
Anyway, Central Iowa Juvenile Detention. We got their audit stuff today, which was done by the state auditor, and it was pretty much a clean show. I sent you guys stuff so you could look over it if you wanted to. But they had some interesting comments. I think he's growing a little frustrated. I think the whole state is the way it sounds with the lack of beds. And actually, it sounds like, if I remember right, Scott County is building a new facility. Is that right?
Yeah.
Scott or Lynn? I can't remember, but it's Scott.
Yes.
Anyway,
Bigger.
they're building a bigger thing, but they'll still have the same number of beds.
You're building a bigger building.
Yeah.
Well, Tony's kind of the same deal.
Yeah, and I mean,
He's got room for whatever, more beds, but he can't get it licensed. And
well, here was his chief complaint. Because of the lack of ability to bed detainees, there's and everybody being full, there's no ability to trade around. When we got, all right, we're full, one of our member counties needs to put a person in house. So like a Polk County kid, they'll try to trade it away. They did have one where they even traded to you guys, and it sounded like, up at Cherokee, and it sounded like he was or he or she, I don't even know, but I don't know the gender, but must have been pretty rowdy, hard to deal with, and made them upset up there. But I still had 5 of them like that because they were all part of that school shooting deal, and down in Des Moines. But I mean, we're facing we're kind of borderline on a crisis with our juvenile detention, I think.
But we got facilities that aren't being used.
well, because the state closed.
There's
them.
beds that aren't being
Right,
used
right.
because they put a cap on it.
Yeah.
Which is just insane in my mind, but I mean, granted, we don't want the entire population of the children of the state of Iowa in juvenile detention, but I don't think that's ever gonna happen. But we do have to have places for these to go, especially since you now can't put them in regular incarceration. Where do we go with these kids?
Well, the Woodwards and the Glenwoods and all that
That's
were
where
closed.
Yeah.
The training schools that were closed by the state, because
Yeah.
the state,
Wanted to save money.
so, yeah, I mean, it's
Let's
easier to
let's
save
call that
money when you
Colonel
just
Carr.
quit services.
Yeah, and then it just basically starts to overload the detention centers that we got. And now we got kids in there that shouldn't be with other kids that are in there. And that was one of the big things he said that they brought up. They used to have 1 to 2 fights a week. Now they have 3 to 4 a day.
Oh, my gosh.
And just some of these kids that are in there that are probably facing life charges for murder and stuff. And it just sounds sad to say that, doesn't it? Kid facing life for murder. And anyway, I mean, they'll just walk up to another kid that's quiet, minding his own business. They'll walk right up to him, just drill him in the face. No reason at all, just because he felt like it. And just that's the kind of stuff they're dealing with. And then because Central Iowa's been able to deal with a little bit more because of manpower, you know, they've got some of these worse kids, and now it's costing them and people because people are saying, I'm not going to deal with this every day.
Yeah, that's not what they signed up for.
Exactly.
The riot control.
Yeah, and so now there's another crisis that's emerging is good people to manage this stuff. So, I mean, then they brought this up, and I got to go through here and make sure I got this right. DRI, which is Disability Rights of Iowa. Okay.
Organization.
Yeah. Anyway, they used to be about rights in schools and stuff like that, in particular for disabled kids, whether it was wheelchair or hearing impaired or whatever the case may be. Yeah, and so that's what their primary focus was, but not like Central Iowa, because they've got kids that are in there 30 days for evals, and I think some of the other detention centers, I don't know who all's doing what, but I know Central Iowa tries to have classrooms, so these guys kind of backdoored their way in because you're teaching kids. So, and some of these kids are considered disabled because of ADD and all this kind of nonsense, which I don't know. I mean, I shouldn't say nonsense. It's something that it's not a disability in the sense you can't hear, or you have visual impairment, or you're in a wheelchair. I mean, this is somebody that needs some extra counseling or whatever the case may be, but they get themselves in there. And now, like the kids for fighting, they used to be able to isolate them in their room. You know, like your mom would tell you, you go to your room, stay there until I'm feeling better about you, or whatever your mom would say. But now they can, an hour is it. Well, these kids, there's no recourse for their misbehavior. So, I mean, I don't know. To me, it's going to just keep making it worse. And pretty soon we won't have any good people, you know, that are trained and capable of helping these kids. You would hope so anyway. Maybe there's no hope for them. I kind of hate to think that'd ever be the case. But
I think there's maybe 1 in 100 that they're never going to get out of the system, but a lot of them
want to be.
Still lack of parenting. I think absentee parents is the biggest issue we have in my eyes, from what I see.
Well,
Some kids are born that way though.
Yep.
Some kids do have an ornery gene. And right.
Well, no, there's no doubt about it.
But that's your 1 in 100, I think you're talking about.
Yeah.
G-E-N-E, right?
No, and that's unfortunate. Now you got this group that's going to go in there and have to make them rewrite the whole discipline system.
Yeah.
Because Johnny got his feelings hurt.
Yeah.
And
I
Johnny
mean,
or Judy, whoever.
you know, I don't know. I wish there was a good answer, but I'm going to tell you something. You can even see it with Tony and his other directors there, the frustration in their eyes of trying to figure out how to deal with these kids. What happens if you start losing those people? I just quit. I can't deal with it.
They probably will.
And when we start losing those people that have actually had a passion about trying to build something, I mean, these guys have went out of their way to try to find ways to counsel and keep these kids in the schools, you know, educating them and making them try to help develop some self-esteem and some purpose in their life. What happens if you start losing them and it does just become a juvenile jail?
How many of them affect before it gets changed?
Well, I mean, great question.
You know,
So anyway, it's something that I do better when I'm sitting there at the meeting, and I mean, because you can grab the emotion of the room a lot better, you know. So I kind of, but I mean, even online, just doing this on Zoom, you could feel it. That there's frustration there, and I don't know who we reach out to. I thought, you know, I mean, Brenna is going to be here at the end of the month. I don't really know Mr. Miller very well, our AG now, but somebody you got to reach to. I thought I'd ask Brenna if this is something that the AG's office could look into, you know? And then if it is, then I thought I'd try to reach out to him sooner than, but I don't know. I mean, we got to try to figure out something. I mean, obviously we need more beds. Now, like one instance, I think it was 2 kids from Fort Dodge that got into, I don't know if they got into a gunfight or a knife fight, but it was pretty violent. And they actually sent one to Cherokee and one to Central Iowa just to separate them, which they should have both been in Central Iowa because that's who Fort Dodge is with, or Webster County is with. But then they worked out a deal. And I don't know if that was the bad kid that they couldn't handle, or I don't know for sure which. But
There's a lot of bad dudes right
there's
now in the
just-
system.
yeah, there just is. And I don't see it getting better with the way we're treating our legal system. I don't know if that's gonna have any,
But the other part of that
Plus
is
or-
though too, Woodbury County has their own detention center. They're sitting up there with like 20 beds or
than 5 kids.
5 kids.
Yeah.
So they've got all them beds sitting there empty.
And they won't take anybody else.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
See, the system's broke.
Yeah, the whole system's broke.
While they kept them out, they were, you know,
It might not be the worst thing that if
And
you
they've got
have
the staff and
a
the
state level that actually
Pay them.
organized, help these people. The problem is I don't think our juvenile detention centers get along very good.
well, I think through this, they've been,
they're gonna have a
Getting
common
along
problem.
better.
I think
Well,
they're
I
getting
hope so.
along a lot better
I hope
now than they
so.
were before.
I hope so. I sure hope so. Because but I mean, I think the future of these challenged kids, you know, is at stake here. You know, I mean, and I don't ever want to write anybody off, even that 1 in 100 kid.
no,
I mean, he might not.
but there's some that are just gonna graduate right into the adult system.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
unfortunately,
You are correct. And they say that too, you know, I mean, there's something you just can't reach them. They're content being outlaws, so to speak. And,
I don't know, the kid up there in Cherokee, he's, I don't know who he is, but he's in his teens, but been living in the forest and stuff for years on his own, you know, kind of like a feral kid.
feral kid, yeah, he's probably,
You really outlive them on the.
yeah. You get some of them kids that probably have a mom die or something and a dad that's working and you know, not around, and basically they subside on their own, or their parents died and they just got lost.
Yeah.
That happens.
Well, their parents are doing the best they can. The child just,
And yeah, and
Well,
that
there's always
happens.
gonna be them
there's always
too.
gonna be that there's 3 children.
That's what juvenile detention used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Was for those
kids. And now it's a counseling
Yeah,
center
we used to
slash.
fight over, couldn't get to the family because
Yeah,
it was
I-
such a
I-
long drive, and some of them were saying, take him to the other side of the state, and they can stay there.
I don't know, I don't want to say our system's broke, but I think our system's tried to figure out ways to appease everybody, and we're starting to miss the mark. I don't know what the hell.
Well,
It's-
the
it's
state
rough.
needs to reopen them training schools where
Yeah,
probably half these kids could be.
Yeah.
And would relieve the pressure off the detention centers.
I wouldn't argue that. Maybe something we need to start harassing our two about, especially since Steve's on the judiciary.
Judicial, yeah. Good
Yeah, it
point.
might not be the worst
Is
thing.
he?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's like the chair of the judicial.
he's chair of the judiciary. He's actually one of their best floor managers out there. He should probably be working in Washington for it. Anyway, employer of record services. They actually, and I don't know if this would do anything for us, but they actually have a pretty elaborate system to do employer of record. You know, if you've got people that would work for you that you didn't want, you know, or that you didn't have room for in your county services, and you didn't want to put them on your work comp and they've got that employer record services. And, you know, they said like, I think they mentioned like 4 different counties that have their own ambulance service, and they run the employer record through Central Iowa Juvenile Detention. They've got them, you know, Tony's just one of them guys that's expanding into everything out there. You know, they got the big transportation system, plus they do, what do you have?
Testing,
What?
employee testing.
Yeah, they do a lot of
They
that,
do a lot
the
of that.
testing, and then when they write the checks for you, what do you call that?
Fiscal agent.
Fiscal agent. They do fiscal services,
See,
and now,
that's what we do
yeah,
at Region 12.
yep.
which is, the sick patients.
Yeah.
That's another one I'll sit down and tell you about here. It's pretty interesting. I
Yeah.
think. But we got a grant.
Okay. Well, anyway, so now they're doing employer record services, and just that ambulance thing was, for instance, I mean, other things that they do too out there, but I won't go too deep more about that. So if you have any one of your things that are needing, or if we have anything pop up that we think, hey, we need an employer record, that we don't necessarily affiliate them with the county, but we need a service. I don't know what it would be, but just keep it in the back of our minds, because it sounds like it works pretty good for them. And the more things you have that you manage, how you can share your workload on the employees, and you can do things a little cheaper than maybe we can even do ourselves. See, schedule the next meeting. All right, then that's pretty much the biggest stuff from the Central Iowa, except for the audit. And Nate asked if we'd want him over here to talk about that. I told him, I said, I don't think, there's nothing in there of any. I mean, I didn't even see anything.
Well, it'd be nice to
Nothing
know
that he
that.
would have,
And it'd be nice at halfway through that we sit down with him and find out where we're at for the end of the year.
As far as
Finances and
Oh.
doing your.
how much we owe over there, you mean, or how much we spent over
it's
there?
in the budget amendment.
Does he?
Huh?
Chuck had something in the budget amendment for 15,000. Was that for the remodel?
That's not for him.
Oh, that's not for him. That's, oh,
No,
okay.
That was for those DHS bills that he didn't want to pay out of his budget, that we paid out of DHS.
Okay.
It
Yeah,
was
all right.
paid the money to
Okay.
do it.
We didn't really have it, yeah.
We didn't have it
Right.
budgeted.
We didn't have it stuck anywhere.
Correct.
And let me see. I also had CDC meeting. They kind of went over, they didn't have all their numbers yet.
Of course not.
No, I know. Somewhat of a rumor that they may be losing their, she's sniffing around for
I
other
heard
words. You hear that?
who's that?
Shaney.
Hmm.
She's just looking at other jobs. So otherwise, I do believe that Mariah is very happy there. I mean, you ask her, she's just all giddy like a schoolgirl. So I think she's enjoying it. She said, "Well, this is a madhouse during Tri-City." She said, that's
It
hard to
was,
keep up.
She's
It was-
amazing. They
it
like
was
to
hard.
party.
It was hard.
Yeah, that's right up there.
She didn't
Alan.
have her checks for the band, which was, yeah, that wasn't on the checklist. So that got depressing for
You
me.
get a little bit noisy,
Yeah, a little bit for me.
but
It's a long email, so,
nothing. Monogram had a
okay.
complete catastrophe during the meeting. They had one of their Black Hills wouldn't okay some pipes they just had fixed, gas pipes. The welds supposedly there was a blemish in one of the welds that they didn't like, but it had already been okayed. Carlos's guys that did it, which they do outstanding work, Rasmussen. And then Black Hills was blaming the city manager, or no, inspector.
Yeah.
Is that probably the
Yeah,
fellow
I
you
got a phone
talked to?
call about that.
Did you?
Yeah. What am I supposed to do? I'm like, not my wheelhouse.
Yeah. Well, in any event, it after everything was said and done, it was fine.
I was told.
But it cost them
1.4 million pounds of pork.
And actually, him and I were talking about it last night. They've got so many hours when that bacon gets loaded on the truck where they pick it up from before it's got to be cooked and packaged and heading into another truck.
Mhm.
And otherwise they start shrinking, and the amount of money it starts costing them is phenomenal. Holy crap. I mean, see, the little details you never think about, but if you want to keep your industries in town viable, you sure want your power providers all getting along with everybody well here. So
Well, yeah, it kind of sounded to me like they just kind of red tagged it and locked it down, walked away. Didn't tell anybody
that's
about it.
exactly what it sounded like
Why
to
wouldn't you
me.
go and say, hey, you can't operate until this is fixed?
And when I was talking to Ben, it sounded like, he don't know for sure how much gas or anything Smithfield uses. He said, we're probably one of the biggest gas users of town. He said, maybe other than Smithfield. I don't know what they use, but he says, you'd think they'd at least want to keep us in operations.
Exactly.
But anyway, just the kind of things that we need to make sure our energy people are looking after our folks, I guess. But you know, and you don't want any safety issues. You'd sure hate to see a plant blowing up over there, you know what I
Right.
mean? So that's obviously important. But it's just why everybody was pointing a finger at anybody else, other people, nothing was getting done, you know? Anyway, that's pretty much the gist of the meeting. I mean, there really wasn't you know, the housing's actually, I think it sounds like they got that one about a done deal. I seen where it says pending on the sign finally, and then that the meeting, they said they thought that was a done deal. But now interest rates are going up, so that's going to make housing a little bit more of a challenge again. That guy's supposed to be starting his building here, and he's gonna, you know, as long as they keep moving. What's his name?
Building you're talking about?
Yeah, they're building. They got a new contractor, and I can't think of his name, and he's going to start
The
building.
city of Denison?
Housing.
Well, I don't. I think he's independent, but I think he's probably working with the city. They're probably giving
That's a
him.
city problem.
But I mean, it sounded like they were doing some good there, and that was the stuff that got brought up at CDC. So, as far as what's going on outside of town here, I don't know. You know, I guess I'll just bring it up. I wonder if that office is big enough sometimes. I wonder if they're financed well enough. I wonder a lot of things. I mean, obviously, I brought up, what are we doing on any kind of industrial development? I mean, I'm fine with it being out in the county somewhere. What are we doing on other types of developments in our other towns for residents? I mean, nobody's more than 15 minutes away from Denison. So when they sit here and complain that we don't have any housing, why are we not trying to exploit our more cost efficient communities? Their taxes are lower. You know, I mean, maybe we could find ways to help them better. Maybe we got to get Chris in, but it was very disappointing this year. Evan did do it last year. We did send it out to all the city halls and wanted their input on what they wanted to do for our League of Cities stuff, and got 3 comments back, and one of them was mine. So 2, you know, I mean, kind of disappointing, but you know, I mean, how do we fire up Crawford County? Great question. I've maybe put gas lines in everybody's backyard.
Can't fire them up unless they want to be fired up.
Well, that's just it. I mean, do the best we can from this table, but these are the things that we deal with, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'll quit taking up time. I only got 5 minutes, and Gene's always got 100 left.
Well, I got more than 5 minutes worth, but I'll keep it really short. Don't even know where to start in 5 minutes. But we had our meeting for the Wellness Center. They had a town meeting in which the design has kind of been decided on. This is what they passed out at the meeting. Because of the elevations of that property up there, they're challenged a little bit for exactly what they can do. And so this, we got future development, plan 1 and plan 2. Because the county, you know, has their funding, some of their ARPA funds in there, we stay at the table to make sure that the wishes and desires of what the original concept of the wellness center was. What has changed the dynamics, in my opinion, of this wellness center is the field house concept that will house the soccer, which we need to make sure that that big facility, that is what Monogram is pushing so hard to have, can also be used if we have the right turf in there, softball, soccer, and baseball.
Wow, that'd be great.
That we're looking forward to having nets that could come down from the ceiling and have a batting cage during the winter time,
That'd be nice.
fielding some balls, not to just focus on that being, you know, although soccer, according to all the studies that they've done, brings a lot of money into a community. But with the future plan.
Will there be bleachers in there then too?
Yes, there will be bleachers.
Wow.
This will be the walking path that would walk above, because of how that terrain is there and because of the fact that we need to stay 150 feet from this water tower. It's adjusted a lot of the original designs. We have gone with the design 2, in which you will walk in. This is a little path here. Some of the things that they missed on it is that it doesn't make any sense to have the sand volleyball courts on the other side of the road. So they're going to adjust things. There's still some adjustments that will be made, but well thought out plan. This is what, when they talk about the future plans, but that is a city project. And of course, my biggest concern is how are we gonna pay for it? You know, what's the master plan? Because if you look on the back of, I think it's that one, it has the dollars and cents. And if you look, it doesn't include architect and engineering, furniture and equipment, computers, and security.
It doesn't include.
It does not. So
I got one question.
Yeah, well,
Maybe it's been, has it, with all the elevation changes, that just sounds like cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
cha-ching.
Would have it been, I mean, it's not too late, but would it be cheaper to build a new swimming pool? I mean, because on a flat piece of ground with one elevation on this whole structure,
I think.
dirt can be moved relatively inexpensively.
And Paul is sitting on that board, and so he's very beneficial in talking about doing it once right, getting all the elevations. And so I believe they've hammered that out to where once they move that dirt, it's going to lead into whatever future plans. And that's 5-10 years down the road, which I'm not as involved in the future, because if we get this built, this is a whole nother project. I hope we didn't spend a whole lot of money on this. That being said, so
I appreciate that, Jean. I just was curious.
Yeah.
It was like, since we started, it was really like always zeroed in around the swimming pool.
Yep. And so things have changed a little bit, but we did talk about fundraising, you know, the private, the public, and the grants. So we kind of had to have this so that we could go after the grants, and there are quite a few available. I'm real pleased with their finance committee, which includes Mindy Baker, Wes from Avila, Brian Edelman, Annie Schrum, and I don't know who they had got from the Crawford County Bank. Yes, sir.
Can your parking be close to the water tower?
No, can't be any structure, no structure, because of the fact that they may have to get into it. And parking is an issue, but you know, the school is involved, and so the overflow will be able to go over to the school. We're restricted on how many, or not restricted, we're told how many parking spaces we have to have. The other thing that was added on here is the senior center part, which I kind of wondered how that came to be in our plan. It has to do with grants that they can get. It's exactly, and to get the senior citizens up there, there'll be a kitchen where they'll make their meals. It gets them up there to possibly do their walking, and even the daycare. There's a place here for some daycare. Maybe get some of the senior individuals that would just not mind.
Yeah,
It should be locked. We
Just leave it open.
they were vacuuming out there, and we couldn't hear very well.
So did they give an estimate on a dollar amount?
Yep, it's on there.
Oh, it is on there. Thank you.
Yep. But so after that meeting, here's Paul. So we won't keep him. I'll start after they get done. We were just talking about our wellness center meeting that we had and passing out stuff. So I also attended the Shelby County pipeline that we'll talk about on an agenda item. And then I also wanted to consider getting our RFP for the city center, but we'll let Paul come up and do his, because I'm sure he's more to do than listen to our update.
Come on down.
Welcome. So it's probably another 5 to 10 on top of that.
It's grown. For sure.
Well, nothing's got cheaper than the last.
Let's see, there's a couple there, a couple there. There's a couple of, you got ones right there for you guys.
Since COVID, how's that?
Yeah.
Excuse for everybody.
And we ruined the country over that.
Well, our world are going pretty good. Yeah, the bridge continues to move along. Good weather, that's helped out. Great crew. And they just rolling and kind of rolling through things. And so they're over on 300th Street south of 141. They're going to work on that mile there that for Kent Lansing. He wants to upgrade that to a level A road. So once we're done and get it gravel, we'll do a level A reclassification. Bridge crew, they actually finished up on our avenue yesterday. It's a really nice looking project. If you
I'll go down there and look at that.
yeah, and so now they're going to do some pavement patching, just kind of around the county. So yeah, they've done with some of these. They just got that, a bunch of little odd jobs that we got them doing, and then they're going to go back and work on a bridge over in Hanover Township. I think on 3. Yeah, it's over by north of Donovan's High and Sonic's.
Oh,
Just north of that intersection.
oh, a little short
300,
one.
I think it's
200,
210. Yeah. So we'll go work on that one. Yeah, and we're getting a lot of stuff done this year again, so that's good. So roadside continues to mow and seed. We'll seed for another week. So that continues to go real well as well. So I've got item 4, that's that subgrade stabilization proposal that we talked about last week, and I just brought it back here for approval. So again, the amounts were there. Subgrade stabilizations 125, 680, $680.11. And for the seal code, it's 61,500.
Repeat those amounts.
Okay, for the subgrade stabilization,
Yep.
$125,680.11.
Okay.
For the seal coat, $61,500 even.
Thank you.
And so this would be going from the end of the pavement on Nelson Park Road, then it goes into a Banyan Road, it turns to a Banyan Road. So it's a Banyan Road from that point to that bridge to the west. Just a nice stopping point. 12-inch stabilized subgrade, which is pretty thick. So, I mean, their proposal is
What gets mixed into that again, concrete?
cement.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll have 341 ton of cement in that section of roadway.
Wow.
That'll be added to that, blended in, incorporated. We'll add rock to it. So we'll still have our crushed limestone left to haul in, add water, recompact it, and we'll see.
Oh, the last one.
And then put 2 seal coats on, double seal coat on it. We'll see how it holds up. So,
Good place to try it.
Yeah, it did a lot of work.
Yeah.
I went down there,
Works.
kind of watched it a couple of days or last week. There was a lot of traffic on it.
So it withstands that heavy traffic load and volume. It'll work anywhere in the county.
yeah,
I think so.
yeah, we can probably bet on that. So
I need to entertain a motion to approve that subgrade stabilization.
So moved.
Second. And moved and seconded to approve the subgrade state item. I'm just gonna say item number 4. The amounts are 61,500 for the seal coat and $125,680.11 for the subgrade stabilization. All in favor, signify by saying
Can I ask
aye.
a question?
Yes. Oh, sorry, Jerry. Go ahead.
Okay, but on the thing Paul gave us last week, that doesn't include the $25,000 that we're gonna put in.
Right.
no, this is just approving their quote. That's why I said we're gonna have to
Yeah,
provide.
put
the
some
crushed
money.
limestone.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just wanted to
Yeah.
make sure that was clear in my mind. Thank
Yep.
you. That's all I had. Thank you.
So, this is gonna run in that $200,000 to $220,000 a mile to take this approach.
Right.
At this point in time, who knows what prices will do. Maybe someday they'll stabilize or even go down.
Correct.
But just so you know, I mean, what we're trying to do here is we're experimenting with a process and kind of an intermediate level roadway treatment as opposed to gravel where we have trouble with taking care of gravel roads.
Mhm.
High volume,
Exactly.
high loads.
We've had people in from this area showing an interest in this.
Yeah,
I think it's
yeah.
the perfect
So
time.
it's
to
a
do
good
this
place to
project.
experiment with it.
Exactly.
Check
that's
it
kinda-
here and gosh, I think like roads that we have so much trouble with Vernon Boss and some of those others like that.
Yeah,
We start here and it works.
Yeah,
Onward
gives
and
us a
upward.
much more cost efficient way to improve roads that'll help reduce our long-term maintenance costs on them as well.
Exactly.
If it
Yeah.
works.
yeah.
I'm anxious to see it.
So,
Yep,
Yeah.
We all are.
so am I. Okay, any other discussion in regards to this? All right, I will proceed to vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? All this money spent today here.
This is
Why are you looking at
this
me?
is the day.
This is the day, huh?
Yeah.
We're just getting started.
Well, it takes a lot to keep the operation moving along.
And we're thinking this project will be like a spring thing
That's what I'm hoping.
or late
I'm hoping
spring.
earlier rather than later. Yeah. You know, so we get out there and get after it and get the seal coat done. Because the nice thing about having this one company do everything is that they're going to coordinate the timing and they know how important it is to get the seal coat right as soon as the stabilization is done. So we talked about it. He said it won't happen yet this fall.
Unfortunately.
Does it have any effect on frost coming out that early, if you get it early?
Well, we wouldn't be out there when there's frost on the ground.
No, I mean, but you know, there's stuff that comes down with it.
You know, I mean, as a practical matter, when I say early, it's probably May.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. You know,
Yeah, I
that would be
understand.
early. Yeah.
Early in the construction
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
How's that?
I feel like it still gets rough anyway.
Thank you.
Looking for a new single axle dump truck.
Yeah, so, you know, basically our mainline snow removal truck fleet is 6 tandem axles and 2 single axles. And our single axles, we replaced one here about 4 or 5 years ago. And so we've got to get another one in the fleet because they're getting some age on them. So I priced those out. And so what I want to do, actually, these next few items here.
They're all on the same truck, aren't they?
Yeah, let's see. You have that DOT. I didn't get that on here. I apologize for that, but it's on the agenda. It's item. It'll be item 6 or 7 there. It's the federal aid agreement.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to pass this out regarding the truck and the motor grade. And so, let's see.
You got that?
So anyhow, the first sheet there, just this is just a very, very brief kind of summary of what we've seen in price increases. Everybody has seen it in your own business or your personal world as well. But this just, takes some items to show you and illustrate what we're dealing with in terms of price increases. And so the motor grader prices, remember we were sitting here a year ago talking about, whether we should or shouldn't buy 2 new motor graders. We ended up getting those actually for, I think, $454 instead of the $360, or $354, excuse me, instead of the $360. But anyhow, going up in the mid-80 range. And so big jumps. The purchases we're talking about here is a contingent purchase based on budget 2024. So I got to be looking that far out in order to get the truck sometime in calendar year 2024 at this point.
That's when this truck will come.
That's what we're being told. Late 3rd quarter of 2023, which means to me is probably going to come in 2024 because everything's been delayed. Do you see the dilemma? I mean, we even had this last year. We ordered those trucks. We still don't have those. The motor graders, which they're close. The trucks will be here, I think, in the next 4 to 6 weeks. Motor graders were being told November now, and so it's just everything is in a state of flux. So you have to kind of continue to get things kind of going if you want them down the road. So what I've provided here is this is just a snapshot, and it shows the truck, that we bought in 2018 and kind of how it compares. I still don't have plow and hydraulic prices, waiting on those, but the next sheet's kind of that 2024 wish list for equipment, so it has the motor grader there on top, and I'm hoping we can maybe get them down just a little bit on that, but I don't know. I got the truck price in there. I've got a flatbed truck, a mini excavator, a max semi tractor, and a center dump trailer. We're going to have to replace the semi tractor sometime. We're getting a lot of miles on that. Brandon runs it.
That's the one, Brandon.
Yeah, and
that's kind of a full-time truck. That's
And so when he's after he's ran it for 2 or 3 years, then he moves down and sell one and move it out. So after we get into that rotation, then the last sheet just kind of shows our motor grader replacement kind of schedule. And so we're probably to the point where, budget's gonna allow it. We're gonna try to do one motor grader, one truck, one dump truck, and maybe, some of those other items, perhaps, maybe not. I don't know. See, the highest priority, probably the single axle dump truck and the motor grader.
But this year, we talked about it, but this year, we're all 6x6s on the motor grader.
Right.
Yeah.
So the unit number 25 that we would be moving out, so we have the option, we could buy a new one, or we could take that one and do a CAT certified rebuild. They're running right at 300,000.
Could save you $100,000, but that's their top end one.
That is, he said, basically you get a new serial number. It's just like a new machine. So that's something to consider as
We'd
well.
still almost, to keep the rotation correct, we'd almost need to buy one, take that 25, put it in reserve and send it to Minnesota for a year probably, or how long it takes them to do it.
Well, this is what I was telling Ty yesterday. I said the dilemma with doing a rebuild is that, you kind of expect those to be in your fleet. And when you trade and you get rid of one, then it's just, you keep the old machine until the new ones are here, and then you get rid of it. If you do a rebuild, you got a machine that's basically out of service for however long it takes them to do the
So I'm
rebuild.
saying, we almost
We don't know how long
So-
they are. I imagine they can get far behind like they are in the rest of them.
Don't have a date on that. So what they're gonna do is they're gonna do a technical analysis on 3 of our machines. And it's kind of, they do an evaluation and they tell us, they look at everything, all your powertrain, and they look at the machine and they make recommendations on, is it time to do the rebuild? So it's kind of like a health assessment, it's a machine health assessment. And then they're gonna give us a report, and we pay $500-600 to have this done. But we're spending
guaranteed for 443,000.
Yeah.
They're gonna get busier rebuilding them.
Yeah, I think they will too.
And if they
So
say
anyhow,
3
Start
months, just
getting
say
more.
6.
It's cheaper to buy a new one than it's a rebuild.
Well, you used to be, Gene, we would approve motor grader purchase in November, December. We would take delivery of it in March and pay for it in July, and we'd have it on the road. That's how it used to work.
That was a good.
Yeah,
5 or
and there was
6
a lot
years
more
of that.
stability. If we saw a 3 or 4% increase year over year,
Yep.
that was pretty normal. Nothing in our world is normal.
No,
Nothing
these
at this
increases.
point in time.
We're just scratching the tip of the iceberg here until wheels fall off.
So,
And they'll make
Well-
a correction somewhere.
well, our charge and after the election, I told Ty this, I said, after the election, the first thing I want to do with the new board, whoever they are, is sit down and talk about, our strategic plan, and it's still kind of, a lot of those things are still in play. It's just that, 2 years ago, we spent in the neighborhood of $375,000 to $400,000 for diesel fuel. We continue at the rate we're at right now, we're going to flow right through 700,000.
Wow.
Okay. And I had budgeted $500,000, hoping that maybe it was going to stabilize or go down, but it isn't. And we continue to get a lot of work done. I mean, you guys saw that video I sent you, the 3 dozers. We're getting a lot of work done. In fact, this morning we had a group there, it's challenging to get, signups for level B roads. But somebody walked in the door and said, hey, we want this road graded. Sure, we'll try to do it.
You're watching my video.
I don't know. But anyhow, fundamentally, things are we're gonna have to step back and say, if they continue in these trends, because it's hard right now, it's hard to predict trends. You had stability for years, now all of a sudden you got this, you don't know what is happening. So, but the fact of the matter is everything's going up. It's costing considerably more than it used to. Look at corrugated metal pipe. There's a lot of that on our grading projects. So things are going to look different in a year or two.
Doubled yet, but it's close.
Yeah. So, but anyhow, what I wanted to do is just kind of, the dump truck, I think obviously budget wise, we'll be able to probably handle that. The motor grader, I wanted to have a discussion. I think we'll probably be able to fit that into. What I need to do is start working on the 2024 budget. That's kind of hard to do when you're, trying to figure something out that's 2 years in the future, or at least 20 months in the future. But I'm going to try to do something there to take a look at some things. But again, we have 3 full-time positions that we haven't filled. Have no intention of filling those at this point. We're gonna figure it out without those people and wait and see what happens here.
Well, I think the important thing to remember is we're dealing with hyperinflation and everything. And we're gonna have, I don't know what we'll have for salary issues to deal with, but you know, valuations don't appear to be going down. And we don't want to really, I'd like to do a little bit more work to get taxes in hand, if possible. I mean, that's the thing is.
Remember, they're not all us.
No, and that's a great point that Jerry brought up, that a lot of times, like, we probably did a better job at the county level with taxes last year, but how much more did it cost the schools to operate? And I think they're probably the biggest jump up this last tax cycle, and most people don't talk about that because it doesn't get brought up right away when you say property tax. Well, their fingers point right here at this room, you know. But we only affect 1/4 of it. When
Bill
you
comes from here.
Start sending it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody else can send it
where the
out.
bill comes from.
We'll send it out.
So we're where the wheel meets the road, so to speak.
But kind of, you know, to wrap it this discussion up, you know, and we probably need to make a decision because again, availability is going to be out there ways.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be made right now. But, you know, our primary charge, I always say, is our primary charge is to make sure that the roads are maintained, granular surfacing is applied, and that we remove the snow. Okay. Good news is we got a boatload of paving done, 2021.
Yep.
Our pavements are in reasonably good shape. Is there work to do? Yes. Our bridges are in really good shape. Is there work to do? Yes. But we got a lot of value for the dollars we spent. And so, you know, so when you step back, you say, okay, well, what is it that we really have to do? Okay, in times when times get tough.
Right.
So
And we
that's
kind of
the
had that
discussion.
reset in 2008, kind of had
Yeah.
a small reset. and,
yeah, we
you
parked the grade 2 for 3 years.
Yeah.
Didn't do anything.
Right.
So
How long ago was that?
that was like 08 till that's 3 year, that 3 year time frame.
But
So
I don't know if we had any opportunity to grade roads over on flood repair,
we were doing a lot of that. Yeah. So we were forced into something else.
but still, it was a reset that
Yeah.
it's happened.
Point is, we'll be able to continue to do a lot of stuff. It just might look a little different. Okay, and we've got a lot of good stuff done. So what I'm looking for here today, because of the timing, you know, just again, there's probably no terrible sense of urgency here, but you know, at some point we got to move forward on stuff. And again, this is a 2024 budget. This is really committing another board. I know 2 of you won't be here for sure, you know, and you know, so I don't know that that's a big issue, but this is something that would be taken, you know, out of a
Well,
budget.
if it's approved with budget, if we approve it today with contingent on the budget, the new board will be seated at that point in
Yeah.
time regardless.
Yeah, I mean, this
5 are
is-
sitting here, so.
But you know, I know
I
other
know.
counties are dealing with the exact same thing. You're having to make commitments to stuff a year to 18 months in advance of ever paying for it in order to actually get it.
I think if we're prudent, and you put a lot of thought and work into this and discussion with us. I think that we're being fiscally responsible. And like Kyle said, if you throw it in there, dependent upon the budget, I think we're covering where we're not committing the future board, over committing them anyway.
I'm guaranteeing you, if this stuff comes a year from now and we don't take it, somebody else will.
Oh, yeah.
So, but I think we'll take it, you know, so, anyhow. You know, if you reflect back on a year ago, had we not made the move that we did on the motor graders,
We wouldn't be
paying
in the position we were at right now.
$170,000 more for the same thing.
Yeah.
So,
Well, item number 5, a motion to approve the purchase of the 2024 International Single Axle dump truck from Cornhusker Truck.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the purchase. Any further discussion? All in favor signify. Well, let me add on there that contingent on budget approval. The motion. Probably need that. If I hear it,
Yeah, that's, yeah.
because I mean, we could have a big public hearing that would be totally. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Okay, and item number 6 is the dump box that goes on that truck, the cost of $51,531. Right, entertain a motion to approve that.
I would so move.
Second.
And seconded to approve the purchase of the dump body, contingent again on budget approval. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right. Kind of scratched the surface a little bit already on item number 7. Did you want to talk any more about that, Paul?
No, I think, you know, just kind of think about it and, you know, personally, I think we move forward on a new one, and in the rebuild, we take a look at that as a possibility.
I think that's what,
Just look at one though.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
because like I said, that could be a year out from getting that rebuilt.
I
So,
know,
I mean,
yeah. And I could have Brent come and visit.
It'd be kind of nice to know a little more.
Yeah.
Maybe it ain't gonna happen immediately.
Okay, we'll get something kind of scheduled. I'm really scratching my head here why that DOT agreement's not on mine.
you want to move to that right now
Yeah,
before we forget
because it
about
had to
it?
be on here for her to get it on there. I don't know. There's some weird stuff that happens with my computer. I'll be honest with you. Kathy and I are both, it's like, how did that happen? Because this is the agenda that I printed out. I don't know.
Well,
Anyhow, so this item is the federal aid agreement. This is for the bridge over on L51 between Ricketts and Charter Oak. And, you know, we did a resolution amending the program to allow for additional funds to be appropriated to this. And so that's all taken care of now. And so we just need to approve the federal aid highway agreement to get those funds.
Motion to approve that.
is there a second?
A second.
Okay, the motion and seconded to approve the Iowa DOT federal aid agreement for the county highway bridge program, and then the bridge number listed there over the Soldier River. Any further discussion?
No.
Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right.
Okay, so those two of them here, the chairman, you have to sign.
You need to be
There, whatever you want to use, then figure it out to sign. Okay, so safety meeting is down here at the shop, 10 o'clock Thursday. So, and we'll have a luncheon afterwards, so you're welcome to come and join us for the meeting. Join us for luncheon, and then after that, I've talked to Jared, who's the one that had his name on the proposal. I said, you know, you just want to get a group of, you know, a couple of guys to come in and visit with whoever the board wants to maybe visit with them. I just thought it'd be a good opportunity because they'll all be there.
Sure.
You know, I mean, just maybe a small group meeting, doesn't have to be the whole group. Is that okay?
Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
probably just 2 of us, huh?
Yeah, I think just if you want to designate, maybe just a couple of you. that can-
I will probably.
I'll be there, but I have
Yeah.
a dental appointment at 1:30. So
Okay.
it just depends on how long you're running.
I'm planning to be there.
Yeah, I mean, is that okay? I just thought, you know, it'd be
No, I
kind of
think it's a good
nice.
idea.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, and if you don't, I mean, I just told Jared, I said, if a couple of guys or if you guys could stick around and just kind of talk about it. Again, you know, people ask me, I said, hey, this has nothing to do with really with engineering. It has everything to do with what the people, the citizens and the people we serve are okay with.
You know,
And at the end of the day, you know, that's really who we answer to. And so you are the eyes and ears of the people that we serve. And so, you know, I don't know if you're getting.
I think it's gonna be the way of the future here, you know, Team Ford, they're going on a 4-day work week. And,
Yeah,
Offering that as a benefit.
yeah.
you
So,
know, and
so I'm not gonna,
I
again,
don't-
if the move is to go to that, I'll make it happen.
yeah, we just gotta work out the fine details, you know?
Yeah.
If it works out.
A number of counties do it already,
Yes.
Memorial Day to Labor Day.
Yes,
I'm
almost
just curious by the
organized.
survey, the people that don't want to do it. I can't.
Well, and I don't know if necessarily they don't want to do it. That's why I said in my email, I'm not sure, because I haven't talked to all of them, whether that's a matter of they just weren't available or they just, you know,
Okay.
didn't know. I don't know if they're necessarily opposed to
No
it.
opinion.
I know there are some people that aren't interested in it, and they just don't want to work a 10-hour day.
But we'll have, but you're
It's all or nothing.
in the courthouse,
Yeah,
though,
that's
your
just-
staff will be here
Yes.
5 days.
5 days.
So if
Yeah.
somebody from
Yeah.
the community wants to stop and visit with the boss,
The office is gonna be open 5 days a week, same hours.
that was my main
Yeah.
concern.
And this is Labor Day through, or Memorial Day through Labor Day. It's not year round.
No, it's 1/4 of the year.
So that's kind of where I'm at.
Yep.
We'll make it happen if it needs to happen. I just don't want to do it and have a bunch of upset citizens.
Right.
And by the same token, if they're favorable of it and say, hey, that's something we think we should be doing, let's go do it. So. Yeah, that's all I have.
Well, we would like I think I'd like a report on, work getting done, if the weather affected it because we were only here 4 days. I'd like to know that if we do a test here or something like that.
Yeah, we can kind of document, I know that's a concern.
Yeah.
You got sunshine Monday through Thursday night, you have
Yeah.
pouring rain and, and
Or vice versa.
and,
Vice versa.
or vice versa, yeah.
Rain all
So,
week and
and you can't do anything, and then the roads need to be bladed on Friday.
Yeah.
So,
There's pros and
it'd be
cons.
nice to be able to just kind of flex into it, but then, if you have to go into emergency mode, it doesn't make any difference. You just go, but if it's kind of like that, well, boy, it'd really be nice, to not have the road lay there for 3 days like that. Then people got plans and then you start messing with all of that stuff. But, I don't know. Apparently it's working in other counties. So
There's pros and cons.
there's pros and cons. That's why I said there's pros and cons. It's what do the people that you serve, what are they interested in? So
The people that write the checks.
the people that pay the wages. That's right. Yeah. So, okay, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Paul. We just need to stand spaces.
oh, okay. Well, never know what that project.
Good, that's on time.
Are we really? Look at that. God,
Discuss
you did great work.
10:15 item. New carbonic pipeline, possible sharing cost from attorney with Shelby County. I think it was kind of spurred from the
I put that
4 county
on
meeting, right?
the agenda, and it's the way that it's on the agenda, the possible cost sharing part of it is a going forward issue. And so it's nothing that we'd be able to take action on today. The verbiage of it is a little bit different. So we're going to strike that part of it because that would be going forward. We're not looking backwards at sharing anything that Shelby County has paid already. I just wanted to, it's a little confusing there. But part of the reason that it's on there is I did attend Shelby County's town hall meeting on Saturday morning at 8 o'clock. And it was well attended. One of the things that they talked about a lot is that they have a comprehensive land use program in Shelby County that already says that you can't have any of that within 2 miles of the incorporated city limits of Harlan. And a farmer did stand up and said, well, that's great, but what about us people out in us farmers? There was a concern about why keep it 2 miles from town? Why not care about farmers? That was a comment from one of the citizens. For when we did the windmills, Dwayne had done a little 2 mile buffer. This is what Crawford County would look like if we did adopt something similar to that in our towns. The only way that towns can grow is outside the city limits. You can't, if you want to do a housing development or any economic development, schools, churches, airports, and things like that, you want to protect them. If you don't have that in place before this Iowa Utility Board permit, we can't do anything. So it's up for discussion again, what Crawford County is thinking about doing. So when Shelby County talks about their comprehensive plan, ours is Crawford County Land Use Policy and Zoning Ordinance of 1976. It's the last time we did anything. And only in section 3.3 does it talk about anything about our easements and whatnot. It's very vague and very generic, nothing too specific about what we can and cannot do. So part of, the Shelby County's ordinance is now written and vetted by an attorney out of Des Moines who specializes in carbonic pipelines. And so he was there at that meeting and talked about, where they've gone with this ordinance. I did forward that ordinance to everybody, correct? It's number 222/4. So I think that Crawford County just needs to keep it on the front burner, what we're planning on doing to protect our landowners. We are not trying to stop the pipeline. We're not trying to tell people what they can and cannot do on their property. But our big concern is the safety of a hazardous material going underneath our county. So at this meeting, they did have their public health board. I assume it was their chairperson that has reviewed the ordinance. Everybody's concerned about the eruption. It's a welded pipe, and welds do tend to be compromised, and what would happen. The EMA director was there, fire chief, the coordinator for the school superintendent, city administrator, all showing support for this resolution. They had a resolution of support for the ordinance and the public safety of 2 miles. So I think we need to kind of start thinking about what protection we as the Board of Supervisors, and I think we need to involve our public health and our city administrator in what we plan to do, or we're just going to leave it the way it is. The safety issues are that it can travel 12 miles within minutes. A rupture could happen at any time. We need to make sure that we have proper training for our EMA and for our hospitals, what would happen in that situation. Property rights, that's a huge issue. The Constitution, allows people to do with their property what they want to. One of the quotes that one of the taxpayers had was, the definition of communism is when you start taking private land from citizens. I wrote that down because that was, interesting. It's your private property, and I'm just quoting.
To the times.
I'm quoting. It's not the proper use of eminent domain is part of, the quotes. I just wrote down different things. Eminent domain is not good for everyone. It's just about tax credits. What happens when the tax credits go away? Do we have what's going to happen when the tax credits go away and they just leave this pipeline? So I just feel it's our duty to look a little bit closer into this. I hate to go ahead
to jump in.
It's your job.
We had Gina, we spoke the other day.
Yes, we did.
And we understand, or I understood that this agenda item had not have been what you intended. We might be a little bit beyond the scope.
Yeah, we did talk about that. Well, we're not to take action for any
right. Yeah, I understand we're not going to take action. Yeah. I mean, but the item it was regarding this possible cost sharing. I understand you went to this meeting. You have a lot of information you want to give to everybody.
Yep.
We talked about maybe having a different worded agenda item next week. Just so everyone can kind of understand what.
I started by saying it's a not take action item, but we do need to keep it on the front burner. Right. So
I guess to be fair to the agenda, to kind of wrap this all together, is there the possibility of sharing attorneys, the same one with the one Shelby County used to kind of help develop what you kind of all discussed? Would that'd be more pertaining to the agenda item?
Well, Gene, remember we discussed yesterday about that book that Dwayne gave you.
Yep.
I haven't lost it yet.
One of two. So
God, Lord, don't lose that.
I'm taking it back.
46 years old.
And did you want to discuss the possible review of that? Remember we had that discussion?
We did.
Because that would kind of be in line with this.
The only thing is that section 3.3 that as I kind of look through this, is where they talk about the easements and utility locations. It's very generic. It has not a lot of protections. When this was written, I don't think they were thinking about hazardous materials going underground.
When I read that, Gene, just that kind of falls into the subdivision part of that book. So that the way I understood that those easements would pertain if there was a new housing subdivision built out in the rural area, that those easements would take place. So,
But what are our protections from where our the easements that they would have out in the county? So it just kind of starts the conversation of, do we need to, and I'm glad Dwayne is here now also. I still have your book, I haven't lost it. Taking very good care of it.
Gas plant across the street.
And I guess the reason that the item is on the agenda is so that we can decide as a county what we need to do, what the cities, the incorporated city limits, what protections we need to do. And I think it's something that we might need help, because Colin, would you agree that maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea if we entertain talking to an attorney who has more knowledge and more expertise in how to protect our county?
What we discussed yesterday was potentially the same attorney that Shelby County has kind of helped them would perhaps be able to review our zoning rules to suggest maybe some consulting on it,
Right.
maybe suggestions.
Yes, consulting. So
Not that we would share any fees with Shelby County, but that's the kind of overlap.
If, as this thing grows and we both have the same attorney, in one of, I think it was at ISAC, they talked about that as far as inspectors go, they would like to have the counties be uniformed in what they, are expecting as far as when you can work in the fields and what you have as your easements, rather than, oh, we're in Crawford County now, we can go tear the roads up. Nobody cares over Crawford County what we do. So I think that we really need to work with somebody that has invented the wheel on this carbonic pipeline coming through Iowa. And if at the time came that there was ever a lawsuit, we would have that same attorney that could work continuously with the counties that connect to each other. It's on the agenda to discuss what we want to do going forward. I think we need to keep the pipeline on the front burner because from what we hear, it's coming. And so I think to have our ordinances in place before they get their permits approved is the only time to really get it done. Right. So I think we need to. So Colin, in your opinion, with the way that we have our item on the agenda, can we just take a consensus of what we want on the agenda next week? How do we keep this moving so that we don't find ourselves without a satisfactory ordinance in place?
Well, the board would have to decide what you guys wanted to do, if anything, when it comes to the zoning.
Yes.
If you want to follow in the footsteps of a county like Shelby County,
yes.
And we can get their literature, we have some of their ordinances already.
I got it.
And so, maybe a discuss action for next week, kind of more on point about zoning rules and perhaps ordinances pertaining to.
Let me ask you this. Would we want to invite, I believe the attorney's name is Steve Whipples from Des Moines, to come and talk to us?
If the board would find that helpful in making decisions, I don't see the harm.
I would recommend having the Zoom option available, so that you're not incurring travel fees to pay to have a Des Moines attorney come out here.
Thank you. What is that document? You actually have the yellow brittle looking document. What's it called? What's that actually called? Land use policy.
Subdivision regulations.
I think we need to update that policy.
What do you think, Dwayne?
Oh, might be all right.
There are several ordinance changes that have happened through the years. That you don't redo the book, you just, they're just ordinance changes,
Take 3 votes on an ordinance vote, something like that.
Oh, like public.
Yeah.
Public comment,
notice.
public publishing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
3 readings.
3 readings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Reread.
To your knowledge, has there been any updates to that book that would pertain to this hazardous pipeline? Pipeline.
I'd like to just interject a little bit. I mean, this probably isn't the last hazardous pipeline that may tread our county.
No, there's 3 of them looking at us right now.
So, I mean, I think that, you know, just like when we're talking about with the wind energy, I think if we have ordinances in places that have room for variance or whatever else, you know, to where people can come in and negotiate to make things happen, I think that that's probably, we don't want to take the rights of the landowners away, but we also want to, safety needs to always be, you know, probably utmost on everybody's mind, including the landowners. And sometimes they aren't aware of everything. I mean, obviously they haven't put the research into the piles that Gene's got here, you know. I mean, hopefully they do if they would be approached, but I think that from the safety aspect and then the economic aspect, I mean, first of all, if there's adequate zoning ordinances in place, that means these people that want to come in have all these, basically, I don't want to call them hurdles, but checkpoints to meet and discuss with these farmers, which would also alert the farmer to any risk that might exist. And, you know, he could be adequately compensated or at least put into the, you know, I mean, most of the time these big companies come in and they bring this fancy contract to you and everybody thinks that we have to sign this contract. Well, that contract is their suggestion. And now you can get your attorney, and a lot of times they pay for that attorney. If you get a good attorney, and they sit down there and they say, oh, let's rewrite it from our perspective and see what they got to say. And then we'll mix the contracts and how it works best for both. And I think there's not enough of that goes on necessarily, or if our farmers are happy, but you don't hear a lot of them coming back in years to come that, oh, well, I wish I'd have did this, or I wish I did that, but I'm sure there's some of that goes on at the coffee shop.
If you recall at ISAC, there was a gentleman who had pipelines go through with horror pictures of how they left the property. And, you know, if it's wet and they go out there and they have a 12-inch rut and they just leave it like that, there needs to be some protection. You might not think about that.
Well, and that's the moisture content thing that guy brought up, that we actually want to do that study with Iowa State. So I think that having a zoning ordinance in place isn't necessarily robbing our farmers of their right to their land, is helping protect them, plus the rest of the communities. And you want to have the economic development. I mean, you know, the point that got brought up at ISAC, you know, if you got this sitting right on the edge of town, can you develop to the west now?
Yep.
I mean, will people want to? You know, so those are questions that, and so if we have a sound ordinance, and this guy can advise us, because, you know, I don't want to rob anybody of their property right.
No.
But I also don't want to compromise safety of the entire county. And while this pipeline might not be as hazardous as a, you know, one of the oil or a natural gas pipeline, it's a hazardous, it's labeled hazardous for a reason. And I think that we probably should at least get some expert counsel in here, like Shelby has, and then just be very diligent in our efforts. I mean, let's not just go crazy and make a bunch of laws because we can. Let's make some proper laws, and if necessary, I think that that's probably as far as what we're on the agenda.
So is this what we want to do for next week?
I think so. I think
the only way we can keep talking about it.
Discuss the possible.
So
working with this attorney and not all the.
We'll get some verbiage.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
There's another issue we'll get onto related to the pipeline.
To try to stay on point here. We got.
Appointed.
Yes.
So we'll put that.
we have the inspector.
We have one, don't we?
We have
Yes, we
We
do.
have one.
Yeah, well, we have
We have one.
Sunquist.
Sunquist is.
Okay.
We signed with them.
Okay.
I've seen where there's counties that have done more than one. Though.
Was that designation filed with the IUB?
With the Sunquist.
I don't
yeah.
know that.
I don't know either.
I think it was, well,
We signed it
we
a long
took
time
the
ago.
official action on it.
Thank you. We'll find it.
Yeah, because because that was one of the first steps
Yeah,
in the
we
process
had
we
to
had to
hire
do.
I think we did that one.
So-
And we did.
Last
So some
spring.
of the points to think
Oh, that's
about is
fall
we must
already,
fund
yeah.
and be prepared for a hazardous event, need to be ready, must have funding, safety concerns, need emergency response plan.
That's good.
Got it? Okay. Put setbacks in place. County requirements, hire a certified inspector, pipeline must pay for it. One inspector might have 5 crews. That's a concern of some people. We're going to require construction communicate with us 2 weeks in advance so inspector can be ready and staff. I don't think I need to read all of these.
We're steering off.
We'll get all this on next week's agenda.
All right, sounds good. We're not gonna vote on
All
nothing.
that on next week? Better clear the day.
Yeah.
I cleared for today, but it's all good.
Well,
I understand.
respect your passion and that for it, but it was, the attorney sitting here telling us we need to stay on point. Chairperson, I think we better do
All
that
right.
a little bit.
So we have the right verbiage for next.
We'll
week's
have that.
agenda? All
Okay,
right,
thanks, Gene.
you're welcome.
All right. Colin, any other thing you want to put into this before we move on?
No.
Thanks,
Okay.
Colin.
Let's move on to assigning a county held tax certificate. Mr. Jose Montel.
No, I'm looking at this book.
What we got here, Sherry?
Yeah, that's it. No, we were laughing.
I
Your
hope
relative
your sister
getting
gets.
their name in the book.
Oh, my
squared away.
relative,
I mean,
yes.
I am
Camp
chairman Crawford County.
I
Board
thought
of
that was
Supervisors.
interesting.
I don't.
Oh, good Lord.
Sorry. Okay,
Cruel.
so. Jose Montiel, perhaps,
Yep.
has a piece of property at 5030 10th Street North. This is the map. He owns that property, and this piece down here, the little square,
Okay.
he thought he owned and has been taking care of it.
Just that little square, that
Just
little
the
8
little
by 8
square.
chunk.
Who owns it?
Well, the taxes were $2 a year. I'll be
yeah,
in for $2, that's a minimum.
It's county held. It was Wilma Bunker, Haley, or Julie Hallam.
Huh.
He is wanting to have that assigned to him and forgive the taxes if we would.
How much are they?
What year was?
The tax sale was like 81, so it's been sitting here for a long time.
So has it been assigned to somebody else before and they've never followed through?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. But their time.
But their
is
time,
probably
long
Okay,
expired.
I thought I just.
Sounds to me like a good deal to clean up.
Yep.
It would be an excellent
Let's
deal to
do it.
clean up. He would pay the assignment fee and current taxes, which are very minimal. We would look at abating roughly $2,500.
Is that
How long
taxes
is this?
and
How long has that
and
been?
interest, or that's just taxes?
81.
That's taxes and interest.
How much of the taxes? I mean, you have a breakdown there, how much taxes, how much are interest is interest? Because the taxes, it looks like they're about $2 a year, they're the minimum.
$2 a year.
So it looks like-
And that's minimum. No, but the interest is.
Interest too.
Yeah, but-
1.5% per month. And
Interest is high in the 80s.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah, interest is almost $2,000.
Okay,
Right.
all right.
968 and
Now I feel
952.
better.
And the taxes itself were only like 213 for each half.
Let's
Yeah.
clean it up.
But it would be a good thing. In my
Let's clean
opinion,
up.
it would be a good thing to abate, assign to him and get it off the county health.
We're getting some.
And get a little bit of money for it.
Can we abate everybody else's taxes? Or we can do that at the
It's
end of the
not,
county
it's
health,
not
right?
income, it's not an income producing. That's why I'm
No.
suggesting that we
I
abate
just
them.
was,
Because nobody's paying them. Right.
Nobody cares.
I just want
So
to,
what's he actually willing to pay for this, the $2?
The assignment fee
$10
and the current taxes, first and second half is what he's willing to pay.
Didn't build anything on it or anything, did he?
No, like I said, it's,
Oh.
there's nothing he's gonna even be able to make income on in this little
Okay.
tiny piece.
Doghouse.
So we would get rid of it. We would get it off the county held.
That's fine. I'm
And
in
he-
favor.
he realizes there's more to it than just.
I'd
saying,
make a
okay,
motion
I
that-
told $12 and I'm out of here.
I told
There's a
him
lot of
that
legal work.
I told him that I would ask you guys to abate it in full, with the exception of the assignment fee, the current taxes, and he would be responsible for taking it to an attorney and doing the 90-day redemption.
Right.
He understood that.
Right,
I
got a motion to take.
I would make the motion that we abate the taxes other than the current assignment fee and, or the current taxes and the assignment fee
I
for
second.
this certificate. You want me to read all that number 1311110330007?
No, you don't have to.
But I did. So.
All right, motion and a second to sign the county health tax certificate to Mr. Jose Montel.
TL. Yep, yeah.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed.
Aye.
Here, 1027, county health tax certificate to Glenn Gustafson.
Okay, so Glenn Gustafson was in. This goes way back to the Allen Handstone days. He had paid the taxes, brought them current, and was under the impression that this little piece of parcel here was his. What happened or what didn't happen was apparently Allen took the money, never had him go to an attorney and do the 90-day redemption.
Oh.
So it went back to the county.
In Alan's defense, he may have given him the paperwork and this gentleman just never carried through.
Where's that at?
I would think that would be more my guess. What year was that tax sale?
This was 20, tax sale date was June 19th of 2000. So it's 22 years old.
What's the address of that?
It's a Dorothy Siebert. I have the legal, I don't have the exact address.
So we've assigned a certificate to this guy before?
No, it was never done. I don't think it was ever done. He said he paid the taxes, was told that he would get some more information, but it would take some, he told me it would take 60 days. I said, well, nothing's 60 days, it would be 90 days. But he said nothing ever happened. He was waiting for somebody to get back to him and never did. So he's been
22
waiting
years?
for 22 years.
23
So
years. Man.
There's a guy
Yeah,
with
he's
some
very
patience.
patient.
How much back taxes are actually on this? Has he been paying it all this time?
No, it's only $927 to clear this up because it's only a $2, $3 parcel, $3 a half. a nickel and diamond. So he's asking that we abate $927. He'll pay the current and
$2.
and the assignment fee,
So
and
he
then
wants to pay
same thing.
$12 too.
And it's the same thing. It's like a little creek, little wooded area. There's nothing that anybody's gonna be able to do anything with. If you wanna,
You'll actually give him the paperwork to do that?
I'll give them paperwork.
Get it done right this
Yeah,
time.
right.
Get the cash first.
Right.
Put it in.
And he understands he has to do the 90-day redemption through an attorney. He has, he's in California. He has an individual in Kyron, John Gustafson, that will come and work this through for him.
I'd make the motion that we abate the taxes apart from the assignment and the current taxes on this parcel 0420400005.
Motion, second. Okay, moved and seconded. Any further discussion? I gotta say it's, you say it's $927, I patiently waited 22 years, huh?
I have a lot of mixed emotions on it. I think it's good to get them back on the tax rolls, but I really think we're giving them away. I mean, I don't know.
I don't think you're gonna get him back on the tax roll if you don't, so at least we'll get some money in the future.
It's gonna continue.
Right,
Yeah,
right. So
I
cut
mean,
your
it's not,
losses.
it ain't like somebody else is gonna want that
Right,
little piece.
right, right.
Well,
I
let's
think
make
Obviously
sure we,
bigger than that.
yeah, we
Cut your
follow
losses.
through with this one
Absolutely.
on this
Get
time,
rid of
so.
it. I mean, make
So we
sure
can
they-
start getting them $2 in our call for every year.
Right.
you know.
that'd be good.
I guess the
Or-
question would
or
be,
just
is there
to get
any way
them-
we can
Get
take
them
them
off
for
our
those
rolls and get
22
them back.
years?
We
You know?
try.
They can carry it.
I- Right, I've got a list
That's what I
of
said,
county
check
healths
it
that
out.
I'm trying
Oh,
to
okay.
I just, you
find
know,
people to.
Natalie
do.
had that,
All right.
Natalie
But not
had
in
this with her
September.
dairy
Yeah.
treat, don't you remember, where she thought, and they actually also, there was a piece that was in the middle of the dairy treat thing there in Charter Road. So I sympathize with this. I
Oh,
mean,
definitely.
it's something that just gets overlooked because it was an odd piece of property that was separate.
The uniqueness of this, though, to me, is that 22 years ago, it wasn't overlooked. You knew that the uniqueness of this.
I ended up with one for my house.
But-
It's flatted.
There's only one way to right this ship, is to
Get it done.
get it done, get the hole plugged and move forward.
Yeah, we have a motion and
In a second.
Got a motion, a second. Any further
Discussion.
discussion? Here now, we'll see the vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Just FYI, we're at 11,453,000, which is 33.46%. We're about 4.5% less than we were last year at this time.
oh,
Oh.
But I have a bucket of mail sitting in my
I was
office.
gonna say, there could be coming in hot.
They
this
are
year.
coming in hot, but that's where we're at right now.
I
Thank
got
you
one off
very
this
much.
morning.
Oh, of course you did.
Thanks, Sherry.
I wait till-
All right,
Why wait until the last minute?
take action on the juvenile pension audit.
No, skip one.
You skipped
Public
one.
hearing
Oh.
time.
God, I should have looked around, yeah.
Time and date.
Chuck's in there. Yep, right there. Set the time and date for public hearing, Chuck, for budget amendment for 2023. This really is, what spurred all this was the speed and some of our tower construction, and we needed to, you could if you want. The spending authority from our EMA. The majority of the money was in his account, just didn't have the spending authority for it, but there's a couple other things that have been needing a budget amendment to clean up to. The VHS deal
Oh,
that,
sure.
and
Jail.
the jail cameras. He needed updating.
His budget. No, it wasn't his budget. That's been
Right.
amendment. So how
Yeah.
much is that?
It's the remaining cost on that is just over 43,000. Part of it was spent, there was a budget amendment done last year for it, but all the equipment wasn't available, so that's why it's carrying over into this year. So those funds would have went back into the general fund.
Right.
So we just have to redesignate. that.
Most of this, the money's there, it just needs to be redistributed and spending authority granted. Chuck's making copies.
I was gonna say,
You know, Chuck, he likes to have people informed, which is fine.
I like paper.
Yep, here it comes.
I gave it.
This is the dining room table.
Chuck went through pretty good. Chuck, you know, I'll take a look at that. I think that'll free up about $2.4 million to spend on our tower system by the end of the year, so it should get us through. 24.
Get us,
That'll get us a long ways.
Right,
we still got all the communications equipment,
right.
shelter, that's.
All of that.
You can pass it around. I've looked at it with Chuck a couple times. Corresponded on phone.
Thank you very much.
Want to look at the side. It doesn't have a black mark. Okay. Right. On the side without the real black boxes, just look at that side. With possible funding. Like, these are just numbers I put in, kind of listening right a little bit. If you go on the right-hand side, it says tower funds. That's saying on July 1st of $193,132 available. There'll be 50,000 more come in, so we have 243 balance, and 200,000 would be paid, could be paid towards the other one. $43,000 balance. The next one is EMA, so that would be Sugar Grape's budget. Same thing, the funds on hand. And that's the county's contribution of 500,000. That makes 1.4. 138 is kind of Greg's normal operating expenditures. And if you wanted to put 1.2 million towards LMR, you should have about 117,000 cushions. I said all these numbers can be changed. The ARP funds, same thing. July 1st, and then estimated revenue for the rest of the year. That gives it $3,194,000. And then there's $765,000 worth of, you can read the items, I guess, Terry come up with those. And then if you would pay $1 million towards the LMR out of the ARP funds, that'd still leave you $1.4 million. And if you go with that one line there where the box is, 1 million, 1.2, and 200,000, that's 2.4 million. That you could possibly.
That should almost get that thing
Flying.
complete.
Yeah.
Oh, as long as inflation don't keep kicking us in the pants.
Well, it'll get us the majority of it, so.
We're locked now.
Yeah.
So, should this have that
Well, we still
750,000 that we pledged to wellness? In that number, is that?
Well, that would come out of the 1.4.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's gonna come out at 1.4 yet, Gene.
We didn't think that was all.
So you're right.
And on the other side,
750 that we pledged to the wellness centers, got to come out at 1.4 million.
Okay,
So,
and I'm still thinking about doing something with water at Nelson Park.
yeah, so there's probably 200,000 to 300,000 there. So we only, at this point in time, we're down to maybe 400,000 left that we don't have earmarked.
That was the number I always had at the bottom when we did the ARPA meeting.
So, I mean,
which is still a nice number.
So today, we're just setting
We're
the
getting a lot of
time
good
and date
projects.
for the public hearing.
yep,
So-
today we're just
Yep,
gonna set the
sounding
time.
good.
All right.
on the backside with the box in area.
Yep.
That's in items that the county itself here will be having an amendment. So I got those from Terry. The first one's the sheriff.
Mhm.
I should just have Terry explain these again.
New
Well,
jail equipment.
New equipment for a jail computer. It's finishing a project that started last year. The remaining expenditure is just over 43,000. And the county was made realize some claims from DHS for shelter care that is not going to come out of our juvenile department. It's coming. I spoke with Matt Madsen, and he was felt like it was his department, DHS, was a good place to expend those funds from for youth shelter care. Currently, we have approximately $10,000 in expenditures. I'm proposing 15 just in case a few more may show up before the end of the fiscal year, just to avoid maybe having to do another amendment for it.
Perfect.
And the last one I have boxed in there is emergency management. That will be a separate budget hearing. I think you guys set a date, I think Greg said, so that would make the 725, which would match up with the numbers on the other sheet. So.
October 19th.
Thank you, Greg.
At 6 o'clock in the evening. Up here, well, either here or downstairs.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Time to get
We have
figured out and send it to the
We could
paper.
do ours on the 18th.
Next week's.
The 18th.
Yeah, should we do ours?
That would allow for us to be able to get it published.
Okay,
There's one in the 11th, but the 18th is probably more.
18th is better.
18th is better, okay.
Yes.
So
18.
October 18th, huh? Would be
Yeah,
a good
10
time at
a.m.
10 o'clock.
What time is yours, Greg?
The 19th at 6 in the evening.
6 p.m.
Hours at
10 a.m. on the 18th of October. So that way you get time to give it.
Jerry, would you like to put that in the form of a
I
motion?
am so moved that we have that hearing at 10 a.m. on Tuesday, October the 18th, 2022.
Second.
10 a.m. in the boardroom.
Yes, please.
Okay. Moved and seconded to set date and time public hearing for October 18th, 10 a.m. in the boardroom. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion passed. Got public hearing scheduled for October 18th. To amend the budget.
Okay, thank you, Chuck.
Yes.
Chuck, there's a gentleman in his gallery.
Okay, motion to approve Central Iowa Detention Center audit report.
I was so moved. I guess I saw in it what I needed to see. If there was no discrepancies, the state auditor's office likes the looks of things. So I would so move.
The second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Approve the detention center audit report. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, let's move on to our second tier canvas. Now that both counties canvassed did their canvases, now we gotta, I suppose being we're the county of record for both the school
We are
districts.
working Polk County for both school districts.
We have to put them two together.
You're right. Let me go grab our canvas.
Put it in blue or black.
Well, I signed on the back in blue.
It's on the back.
Don't matter.
Blue or black.
It's a blue pen, but it writes black. This is a black pen. It writes black too.
I could see a combine burning to the ground from where I was combining yesterday.
I don't think it
In
matters.
Winona County. Yeah. Just south of you, about where the airplane crashed.
Oh, really?
Got an acre, I heard they said they got like an acre crop, you know, what it is. I think our burn man is probably gonna be a good deal.
Yeah.
It's nice to see some fields getting opened up and getting some blank spots.
Yeah, no kidding. Amen.
We'll start grinding the west way out and then we'll get there.
6 p.m.
Can I get me my copy?
There's our Reva. It's the two-tier part of it.
Yeah, this was in that book.
Oh,
Better not lose that. I need some out there for that.
Where is this? Yeah, I'm Mike later.
Oh, she got it.
I'm curious yet.
Gene, would you resend that ordinance to me? I can't find it.
Okay. Gotta make sure.
Oh,
Pipeline.
yeah.
does Crawford come first on that?
I have Crawford, yes, Crawford
Okay.
and Carroll second.
Crawford.
All right, Carol.
You do.
All right. Okay.
Go ahead with Crawford's.
Crawford County polls, total votes.
Yes.
We have yes votes 108. Yes. Absentee 1. Total of 109.
And 0 no votes?
0 no votes. That's it.
Carroll County. Yes, 55, no, 28. No absentees.
You have a question on
Yes,
your face.
I have Crawford County polls. I have 36 no votes, 2 absentees.
So how many no votes do you have?
36 and 2. Yep, we're good.
6 and 2.
Yep.
Got it. Yeah, no, just wait.
Sounds good to me.
It's okay. And that was our week.
Yep. Oh, yeah, Carol. You, Carol, used. Who used?
Illustrious COU.
Bobcats.
Everybody's stuff looks different, so.
The Bobcats.
Like it or not. C and D.
I was looking back, we approved that pipeline thing with Cephas back in November.
Yep.
November, or we also have, I always have. I also have
There's
correspondence
charter
from
review.
January.
Yeah, that was around Christmas. That was shortly after the October 5th meeting we had.
Here's Crawford. So there's two public measures in this one. What did I just give you?
Crawford
Let me see
County.
that for a
I
second.
got charter
Nice,
road
pretty
high
stamp on it.
school, normal and absentee.
Just need to leave Monona County resolved.
Oh, Monona's right there in my hands. Hold on. Oh, I gave you Monona. You have Monona, right?
I, charter road turnout.
For Monona County.
Yes, no.
Holy
Yes.
moly.
That's why you can't
Boy,
find
this-
what he's got.
Rock
That's
and
what
was that
roll.
for you?
Well, I
If you get these to mesh
Wow.
together, that's like 2 gears of the wrong side. Like a 17 tooth and a 19 tooth gear trying to get them together. Okay,
Selection.
You have Monona County
Get it
first
straight
on your
now.
list or Crawford?
Crawford County, Crawford,
Measure
C.
C.
Measure C,
Yeah, measure C.
Perfect.
Crawford County,
Go ahead, Ty.
You want totals?
yeah. Rattle.
Total
I got
yeses,
the
total no's.
Okay.
And then absentee, probably is absentee separate on yours,
Yep,
Kyle?
yep.
Thank
Yep.
you.
So holes, Crawford County. public,
Crawford County, 28 yeses,
Correct.
2 no's.
Yep.
Absentee, 2 yeses, 0 no's. We're at 30 and 2 total.
Yep.
Perfect. And then do your D.
D measure.
Yeah.
Yeses on the polls is 28 and 2 no's. Absentee is 0 yeses and 2 no's,
That's what I got.
with 28 and 4
No,
with 32.
we're doing good.
Boy, oh boy, it's rocking.
Gene, what do you got going on over there?
All right, I have Monona Charter Oak Youth School District, yes, 24, no 5, for a total of normal 29. Absentee, I had 4 cast and they were 4 no's.
Yeah, there's our difference.
Yeah, they are. Right?
Okay, Monona County,
Monona,
did you have 4 absentee
4
no's
absentee
for
no's.
public measure C?
yes. At 29 total, 24 yes and 5 no.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, and measure D,
D, I had 24 yes and 5 no for a total of 29 normal ballots. I had 4 absentee and they were no's also.
that's what I got.
Awesome sauce. Thank you.
It'll be the same if easier. That's not like this.
We did it.
You're very,
Just wondering.
Special.
very official.
I'll find the pages for you all to sign here in a second.
I hope it goes that well in late November.
It will. Of course it will.
Well, you'll know more. about
Not
November.
quickly is what I was
Yeah,
going
about-
for.
Oh, no.
It won't be that
No.
quick.
Quickness.
All right. Citizens input. So Dan, or anybody have any citizens input? Citizen? Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Long Beach Speak. My name, for those who don't know me, is Brad Hanson. I'm the new city manager for the city of Denison.
Have a seat.
Oh, you want me to have a CD? Okay, let me get this passed out and then I'll pass out the extras.
That's another $1, Mike.
There, sir.
Like racking them up today.
Very much.
Break that red to 0. We have practice.
So hopefully I'll be quick because it is morning and I've got another meeting at noon. So council for the city of Denison approved us to apply for a reconnectivity grant to the federal government. It's a new program this year. It's going to be a planning grant, which will plan trails to connect disadvantaged communities. So I'm sure you can kind of see blue marks using the county, Crawford County's GIS, potential trails. We're just wondering if the county would like to participate in this planning
trails,
grant.
bike trails? Or?
Be connected, they would be shared use paths, 8 to 10 feet wide.
Okay.
And the reason we're choosing a lot of this is part of the grant is to make sure that communities are connected off, such as mobile home park along Chamberlain, and then the one off of 13th Avenue South. And then you have Country View out on the east of Denison. So we thought there'd be a good potential partnership with the county there. So what they're looking for is to reconnectivity to schools, job training, which would be Western Iowa Tech Community College, shopping, jobs, and recreational opportunities. And that's why this trail is kind of touching a lot of the city, going through potentially First Avenue South. Again, this would be a planning grant, or our share would be 20% of the city. We have the Rotary, they're considering that at their meeting on Thursday to support this as well, which we believe this will complement the Rotary Roads project that they're working on.
Attached to.
Correct. So the county would be able to participate as well. As you can see,
what kind of participation are you looking from us?
Sharing in what our potential of the cost share would be. So the 20% is the matching funds we have to have for this planning grant. This total is estimated between 9 and 10 miles equivalent paths. Obviously, that planning would consider where would the best trails go. Well, how can we phase this in over time? What would be the best trails to begin with? That sort of thing. We are working currently with Region 12 to do the grant writing for us.
What do you think the total cost of the project would be?
For the planning grant, we're looking at about 120. But the grant writer estimated.
120,000.
Correct.
Just for the planning of
and yours would be 120 or 20% of that.
Correct. We're looking at about 20,000 out of that according to the grant writer.
Oh, I know you're talking matching of the total project cost. You're just asking for
the planning.
Planning
the planning,
for,
yes. Because if you look at the map, it would be that blue line that goes out to Country View Estates and attaches to Wheels to Heels.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Where would that, like, I mean, you got some of the stuff in the streets. I mean, is that just going to be a wider sidewalk?
Correct. Yes.
And then when you got out here going like out to the,
we're hoping we can use the state right away.
Use the state right away and be off away from the highway
as far as possible
on the farther side of the ditch next to the field line.
Yes. That's all.
Yes. And whether we should go on the north side or the south side.
Okay.
I think that's.
And if that's something we'd like, we would have a resolution for you next Tuesday. We can, I will be back next Tuesday as well. Yeah, right.
Where are you going? Is this going up here by the hospital then?
Correct. And the one going directly north is going to the Future Wellness Center, the high school, and the middle school. So we're getting all the schools. The nice thing why we thought First Avenue South would be good, because going from 7th Street to connect to the east side, the First Avenue South goes by both parochial schools, goes by the library. It's 1 block south of Uptown, 1 block north of the current senior center. It goes by Broadway Elementary and goes to the new senior center out on 20th, and then just up about a half block, it connects with 20th Elementary as well. So we're able to connect every one of those disadvantaged communities to everything.
This would be like considered for bikes and for pedestrians.
Yes.
But that's limited to just that.
Correct. Yeah, you wouldn't have motorized vehicles.
They go down the top of the dam or off the.
We do have part of that would be off of the dike right north of Monograms and then crossing over on a potential bridge. But again, the planning would determine where we would actually put that.
Because that'd be a nice safe way, and I think it'd be acceptable to CAT. Not for a grant from them, but approval from them.
Right.
Have to have approval from the Corps of Engineers. Well,
And obviously we'll also have the council has approved to move forward with this. We'll have a resolution before them on October 4th.
What percentage of this is out in our area then?
You know, I didn't measure that exactly. That's maybe mile.
Looks like
Maybe a mile and a half out there to Country View.
Country View down to Bowman is about. From there to there.
Yep.
I think it's important we show our support because it's the topic that's on the Crawford.
Well, I get that. I remember when we were one of the early planning meetings for this wellness center, and we were discussing that it was going to be possibly, we wanted up at the hospital, and there was overwhelming support that if it's up at the hospital, we're not going to support it because, you know, my kids want to walk there. So now we're looking at putting all these pedestrian trails and stuff in there. So that,
I think the pedestrian trails help for the kids to be able to walk, because part of the reason that mothers don't feel safe.
oh, I get that, yeah.
walking.
It's just
Yeah,
like,
so
they said there's no way where kids will walk there. And,
Yeah, well-
the kids from the rest of the county would have to.
yeah.
Have to drive to walk.
Yeah, but
I see people drive out to yellow smoke to walk.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of them down there.
But part of it is there's
Suckers
no
Pond.
connectivity. You know, you have to leave Denison, you walk on this side of the street, then you have to cross
Yeah.
over, else you're walking
Mhm.
somebody's yard, or, yeah, so the connectivity is
It's an
kind of
issue.
what makes it all work a little bit. So,
And the idea is someday get it up to the slot trail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sac County, so.
yeah,
walking and biking is a family activity that I think we support, and getting kids to school. You know, if you live in the trailer park and you need your child to get there, you don't want them walking on the edge of the
Well,
highway.
yeah, Hauling Grain and Denison, I see a lot of people walking on that highway 3059. It's like, that's a suicide
I
mission. So
agree.
to get them off that highway would be great.
I think we just have to
I just don't know.
decide at what level
What you want to participate in.
participate. I think participation is at what level?
You're talking 11,500 feet of total trail. Was that what you're
That's-
looking at, Brad?
You know, I was just using your tools on the
Sure.
GIS website,
I mean,
and that
it
was
should be
just
fairly
actually
close.
one portion of it. Totally it came up to about 9.5 miles, just under
Okay.
9.5 miles. Again, that's an estimate until we have the actual plan of how
I
much
guess I would have
distance we have.
studied that. That would.
Is there grants out there to actually build the trail then?
There seem to be more and more grants. They're actually part of the reconnectivity. There's two portions. One's the planning side, the other one is construction. Obviously, we're not ready to go back to construction.
Well, I think putting these type of things in are actually kind of important to build in the future.
And I think the other thing that I hope I explained to the council, but I will on Tuesday, is that walkability is one thing businesses look for when they look to relocate a new business, a new location for their infrastructure.
I will throw it out that this would be part of a wellness program at Crawford County. So if we used a portion of ARPA funds, it would also fit into that mission if there's a concern about how we would fund it. Part of wellness in Crawford County. Get out there and walk. And safety issue. It's a huge safety issue to have people to walk on the highway.
What about this stretch here, out here on the west or east side of town where there's like a gap?
That's because right now what you have, a lot of these roads, what we're trying to do is getting them off the main surface. So you can see that for the extension going from where it has 2805 going to the east, that is along Highway 30. But again, if you've been out there, you've probably seen a lot of people walking along that without a walk. So from there, you see that we go up along the northern edge of some of the houses because we own, the city owns that right away. What that's connecting to is the Wheels to Heels Trail. That's how this city. So it stops right here with this gap because right there is an entrance to it that goes up to I believe it's workforce, Iowa workforce up there. Job Corps. Thank you. Thank you. And that path connects right there to Wheels to Heels again. You can see also a little extension up there because if people are walking and decide to want to do some recreation instead of going all the way to town, they could then jet up that way and catch the Wheels to Heels because the Wheels to Heels goes along that portion there too.
Gotcha. One side.
Okay, all right, well, thanks, Brad.
Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It was nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you. Have a great day. Thank you.
Martha, you have anything? Nope.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I have just a little minor thing. Can we get maintenance possibly to oil the door? Can I bring it up before you?
Because they open too. It's been open for 8 years I've been here.
Yep.
We like
Yeah,
to
we can
keep one
squirt
open,
some
but when they
penetration
start
on
vacuuming it, it's no way. So we shut that door. We should just reopen that one and leave that one shut.
It's really hard. We really can't hear you guys.
Yeah.
That's why we put that little sign out there, so when the door is shut, there are people who go ahead and come in. So, they can't come in. Especially when they're like around tax time, there's people waiting in line to pay their taxes, it gets pretty noisy.
Are we going back to Jean's report?
I'm done.
Oh, you don't have any words?
Well, mine was, a little bit about the pipeline.
Okay.
Talk about the wellness center. And then possibly putting on the agenda for next week, this RFP, if everybody's had a chance to read it, so we can start advertising. For the city center.
City center.
Did you get a chance to see that?
Yeah, I saw those.
Is there anything you think we should add or subtract to that?
I'm content.
Terry actually did the
Sure.
heavy lifting on that, but I think it, we want it to be somewhat generic so that the experts can come in and say, well, you can't move this wall or you.
Right, yep. No, I think that could be on next week's agenda.
And a lot of it is just cleaning it up, it looks like an abandoned, we can use it for a haunted house before we do that.
Downstairs.
We can make some money with
Talk
it.
to Steve, he likes to put them on.
He does.
Oh, yeah.
Be the best attitude for our
Thank you.
public.
I have something else to bring up. In the email dated 9/23 from Friday, there was from Region 12, COG, there was a 2022 Crawford County Hazards Mitigation Survey. And as part of that, one of the entities was the Crawford County Supervisors. So
is there a survey?
There's a survey. And I had just asked Greg when he was, but I asked Greg if he'd gotten it. He said he didn't remember getting it, but I do know that the emergency management was part of it. So I did forward it to him, but I'm thinking that we probably need to do that survey also.
We did that last year. Yeah, I remember doing that.
So anybody else?
We can all do them, right?
You got it. Do each individually have to do it? Or is it supervisors one survey when? I don't know.
I just said, you know what, just fill one out, I'll fill one out.
It didn't say county auditor, so.
Yeah. They'll either reject them or they'll say, hey, you know what?
You're gonna do what I'm gonna do.
Sure. Okay, ain't gonna hurt nothing.
All right. I just wanted to make you aware of it. It's there and I just don't want it to slip through the.
I like that
cracks.
thing you're having, so much stuff comes in, we just don't look at absolutely everything.
Yep. Anybody else? Go on.
Well, I'll just follow up on that comment. So did you guys, were you able to review the safety of the CO2? I saw on this plan, it sounded like you didn't see the test structure. For the safety for emails, Jean said you have so much stuff coming in that you don't. Were you able to?
No, I look at stuff that I just don't remember seeing. I look at everything. I mean, now there's some stuff that I get from Hotels Inc. I just delete that. But I mean.
So would you like more information on the safety of the CO2 pipelines, or was that the email that I sent out?
No, I looked through that stuff. Was that what you were talking about? She was talking about a survey.
It's, yeah.
No. It was just a comment that you said that you guys received so much information. So I was wondering if
I don't, yeah.
I remember seeing it.
I see. I looked at that. I mean, where the explosion was down in Mississippi, is that what you're talking about? Yeah, I looked at that.
There was a test one done too.
Yeah.
Sometimes they get all kind of mixed up in here. There's so many of them.
What? Oh, I'll fill it out.
Okay.
But going back to the survey, I don't think I got that. I don't remember seeing it.
Okay, I'll fill it out.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Yep. It might be beyond my pay grade.
Well, I don't stats on it. You might- To me, Rick, should be filling it out, call it a day, but that's. Thank you very much.
Yep. Anything else?
Someone we adjourn.
All right, motion to adjourn, is there a second?
I'll second.
Oh, thank you. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right.
It's the agenda next week.
We will have.
What's the date on the survey?
Oh, I just